Thursday, March 14, 2019. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and this is my 1998 Volvo S70 base model project car. So, anyhow, I'm back to work tonight, and two things working in my favor. One, I'm actually out here a little earlier than I have been. Not terribly earlier, but more time out here is more time out here, and/or more time I can sleep, so that's good. Also, the weather has improved. It is going to be spring next week, but it was pretty spring-like today. I haven't looked at the thermometer or the weather report, but it's got to still be 40+ degrees outside, and I know for a lot of you who may be watching from warmer climates, you think, oh, that's hell, but as I've been saying during this video series and the last one, I've been out here at night wrenching in single-digit temperatures and hating it, so it feels pretty warm in here tonight. So, to recap, tonight I hope to finish up the real turning of wrenches on this car, which is I want to replace the rear caliper, brake pads, and rear shock absorber on the passenger side of the car. I finished up the driver's side rear wheel well last night, and essentially at that point the only bolt-on part I'll have left is the upper engine mount, which I may not do right away. I want to transplant the urethane mount out of the old car because that's still a good part. I've been rambling on long enough. I'm probably going to edit this down a bit. I'm going to get to work on this car, and I'll show you what I have done at the end of the evening. Hopefully I'll have that wheel well all buttoned up, but of course every time I set a goal like that I fail miserably. Let's see what happens. Okay, I'm not exactly at my stopping point for the night, but I think I'm going to end the video here. So, I want to show you what's going on. Now, remember earlier when I told you that I had a caliper that I thought was locked up on this side of the car? Well, it took me a while, but I got the old caliper off, we got the brake pads out and everything, and then I went to turn the wheel, and nothing. And the parking brake is not engaged. Now the parking brake did seem to work fine when I test drove the car and brought it back to the house here, and the car once again did run and drive back here without any issues, and I've got to figure out what's going on here. I mean, is the parking brake just adjusted too far out and is jamming the wheel? Do I have maybe a broken parking brake shoe jamming in there? I don't know. Or is it maybe some of the hardware is simply seized up? Anyhow, I've got to solve this before I go any further, and that's going to mean probably getting this very sticky hub here to spin back enough so I can get to the parking brake adjuster and see if I can adjust those shoes away from the drum and, away from the rotor, and get the rotor off the car. And that'll give me an idea of what's going on in there. I really had hoped not to get this far into it. And as I said in the previous video, the reason I didn't want to take these rotors off is that the parking brake just seemed to be working so well on this car. It seemed to be grabbing exactly when it should and holding really nicely, and it seemed to let go when it needed to. But clearly this wheel here is a problem. The car can't be driven like this. I mean, with the the car was rolling and driving, but with this much friction, this wheel is going to heat up like a bastard. Thankfully, I drove it home short distance after I bought it, and then parked it, and plus it was probably 10 degrees when I drove it home, so that helped keep things cool. So yeah, another problem I have to solve. That's my life here, because once again, parking brake is not engaged, and this should be turning freely without really binding much at all, and this is just frozen almost solid. I'm going to have a little pry bar here, and see if I can make it move for you. Well, not with just my left hand. That's how bad this is. So yeah, another problem to solve. So I'm going to work here a little longer tonight before I call it quits. But yeah, I don't anticipate getting this done here. So this is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching. And it looks like on the next installment, I will still be working in this wheel well. Have a good night. Well, I wouldn't have thought it, but I continue on. It turns out that this was actually much easier to solve than I thought it would be, and it only took a few minutes. It's only been a few minutes since I last picked up the camera. So what I did was I actually got my pry bar in here, and I very, very slowly inched the rotor around to where I got the parking brake adjuster hole there over the adjuster, which I had to use my shop light here to shine through there and see the adjuster. So once I got it there, I didn't think I was going to have much luck, but I got a small screwdriver in there, and I turned back the adjuster wheel maybe 2 notches, and it freed everything right up, or maybe 3 notches. So so what I did then was I figured, okay, maybe something was just temporarily binding, so I reset it back to where it was, and the rotor locked up exactly the way it was before. So I once again I adjusted it loose again another notch or 2, and rotor was spinning nice and free. And then I went into the car, pulled the parking brake, the rotor locked up exactly the way it should, released the parking brake, and it is moving freely again. So I am going to continue on from here and basically install the new caliper and pads, and I may call it a night there. I don't know if I'm going to mess around with the shock absorber tonight, but yeah, this was not quite so big a deal. So I can hear just a little bit of rust built up there inside the rotor. I'm not worried about that. That scraping sound is just the parking brake pads hitting the rust on the inside of the rotor, but that'll go away once this car starts driving again. I mean, this car pretty much sat from October to January, and then drove across town, and then it's been sitting in my garage here for, well, it's been sitting in my driveway and garage for a couple of months now. So anyhow, I promise I'm not going to film another update tonight, but I'm going to continue on working, hopefully get the caliper installed with the new pads. That should be real easy. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes, and then I may take a look at that shock absorber tonight. And I may not. So this is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching.